Thanks for joining us bright and early in Brisbane. And I hope jet lags aren't too bad. There's some blurry eyes over that side of the room. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Who would like to kick us off? Yep, we'll go to Anton.
Hi, Liz. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Thanks for talking today. Look, I'd love to ask about how you're feeling going into the World Cup. Obviously, look, you start with bonuses. How are the players feeling? And why was it important about last night's statement out?
I think the players are feeling very empowered. I think it's the first time as a player group we've actually ever sent a message out ourselves that we've collectively done together, that we've collectively done and set our sights on. And yeah, so I think in that respect, it's a very empowered player group last night and this morning and these past few weeks. And yeah, I feel like we felt it was important that we sent a message out because there has been some talks and there's been talks in the media. We want to show that we're focused for the World Cup, that is our main focus. However, there are discussions going on. There's always discussions going on, to be honest with you. I've been part of this kind of leadership role and leadership group for many years with someone like Steph Horton, who has also been part of these processes for many, many years as well. But I think it's the first time that it's been made more public, and not just our team, other teams as well. So I think it was important for us to share our voice, that people know that it's something that we feel is important to us, is making changes in women's football, both on and off the pitch, that we strive to make differences, that although we're just players who play football, that we are pushing to make changes. We want women's football to be in a better place, and not just for ourselves, but for the future of the game. And long past when I'm retired, I hope that the team is in an even better place, thanks to things like sending out messages like we did yesterday.
The fact that the talk's been going on for months and they've gone on while you've been in camp, have there been frustrations?
I think it depends who you speak to. I think someone like me, everybody knows that I love to, maybe it's not argue, but I love to give my opinion. I'm very strong-minded. We have a few players like that as well. So players like that are people who kind of set the standard, but we're quite fortunate that we have a team who we are collectively all together in the things that we do, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses within a team. That's the great thing about being part of a team. So I wouldn't say it's been frustrating and it's took our attention away. I think we've managed it very well. I think even Serena said that herself, that she's not been involved in it, but our focus has solely been on training when we've had to train, on being focused in meetings, focused on the things at hand, and when we have had time to do other things and sort other things, we've been able to do that as well, and we've managed our time perfectly.
A lot's been made about how much the players are going to earn in this competition, but I noticed in the statement and what you've been saying today, you've talked about the bigger picture. Can you just explain what that means? Because it's obviously not just about the finances of this World Cup. Yeah,
I mean, I think people tend to focus on numbers. I think we're talking about the principle of pushing the game on, of keeping pushing the standards higher and higher, that it's not just about what the figures are, it's about what it represents. It's the fact that, we want to keep pushing the game further than just being like, okay, this is where we're sitting. It's something that we do regularly, every single tournament, every single year, is, what's next, how we can push the game on. So these conversations happen regularly, and it's, people maybe focus on the numbers, but we're focused on the principle of how we can grow the game and what we can do to keep pushing ourselves, our own standards, the federation standards, the FIFA standards, UEFA standards. It's about pushing every single angle that we can to make sure that women's football can, smash through that ceiling that we're constantly getting put under.
Thanks, Anton. We'll take questions from the floor. If you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. We'll go to Sandra from The Sun. Thank you.
I'm just going to ask, what are your thoughts on the fact that these issues at this point, with the World Cup this big, are still ongoing? I mean, with Jamaica, obviously they talked about facilities, South Africa have talked about issues and things like going on in Nigeria, other teams. Just how do you feel that this is just right across, for the different teams, whether they're, England or for emerging teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's super sad that we have these issues. I think that, again, was something that we spoke about as an England group, was that we're not only doing this for ourselves, we're doing it that we know we can set a standard. It's something that we've seen in the US team for many years. As I know when we speak, we'll be like, what the US are are doing this or doing that, because they've set the standard for an expectation of what you can do in women's football and what it brings. You know, they've won World Cups because of it. And it's fantastic that all teams now are kind of seeing that. It's unfortunate that it kind of comes before a World Cup, but at the same time, it's because the World Cup gives us the big stage. It's when people want to listen to us. It's when things really matter. And that's, I think, why so many teams now are coming out and speaking about it, because it's the only moment that they sometimes get the stage or the opportunity to speak out, which is unfortunate. But I think we see in the game that we're all empowering each other to set the standards higher, whether it's the US, the England team, the Aussies, Jamaica. There's teams right across the board who we're all empowering each other to push the game on, not just our own teams, but the entire game. That this will be the biggest World Cup, Women's World Cup ever. But I'm sure in 4 years' time it'll be even bigger, thanks to all the changes that people are able to make this time around.
Thanks, Sandra. We'll go to Tom from the Telegraph.
I think you've got to take the
Just
mic.
use the mic, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Lucy. We can see kind of how passionate you are about this, and I know you're parking it now for the World Cup, but when after the World Cup, how far as a group are you prepared to take this? If negotiations don't go the way you're hoping they were, is anything off the table? Would you definitely play against Scotland, for example, in September when those fixtures come around? Or I'm just wondering how powerful kind of things are on the table if you don't get what you need.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about playing for England is that although I can understand these conversations, I think we know that our federation really wants to push the game on as well. So I think we're in quite a fortunate position where, as much as we have difficult conversations, I think we will be able to find a solution. I think that's one of the fortunate things that we play for a nation like England, where we know that we are capable of making change, that we can push and push. Because as much as we want to make changes as players, we know that the federation wants to make those changes as well. It's about finding a solution that works for both, that we can both be striving to make the game better and better. So yeah, I think for us it puts us in a good position that we know that we have that power, but we know that although we're having the discussions with the federation, they are on our side. They do want to make the game better. You see that in everything that we do as a collective federation, not just as an England team, that we are trying to push women's football on. So I wouldn't like to say, but I'm pretty sure that we'll find solutions, and it'll never get to the point that potentially other teams have to go down that kind of route.
Okay, can I just check one other thing as well? I know it's signed by all the 25 who are here, but what kind of conversations have you been able to have with your kind of longer-term captain, Leah? Has she been quite involved in helping in this?
Yeah, Leah's been involved as well. Leah's been kept up to date, obviously, because she is the captain of the team. And she's had her input as well. I think from her side, I mean, you probably have to ask her, but it's something that she's quite passionate about as well. But I think she also finds it, it's a little bit different because she's not here with the group for the World Cup, and obviously some of the conversations are specifically about this tournament. But in terms of the bigger picture, Leah's been involved in absolutely everything, as she always has been. And even before she was captain, she was involved in a lot of conversations as well, because she's got such a great voice and such a great input in what needs to be improved and what we can do as a women's team.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Neil just next to you. We'll go to you next.
Yeah, sorry to continue the theme, Lucy, but did discussions ever get so serious that you threatened to withdraw your Labour ahead of the tournament?
I don't think we made any threats as players. I think we're quite well spoken, and we know how to kind of stand our ground, and I can't say the conversations ever got to being that heated. We've set out bullet points of what we want to achieve as a team, how we can help change the game. I think the FA equally have their own kind of standard of things that they think can be done to change the game, to push this team on. But like I said, I think we are in a more fortunate position than many other nations, because we kind of have a good relationship with our federation where we're able to openly speak to them and challenge both. They challenge us and we challenge them to improve our game. I think that is why, part of the reason why we were able to go to the Euros last year in the position we did, and obviously we came out with the trophy because we probably were one of the better prepared nations. We are one of the nations who do things quite well. And we do push on the game. I think a lot of other European teams use us as a standard for what they want to achieve and how they can change the game. So in that respect, it's yeah, we kind of, the conversations are very challenging, but they're always going in the same direction as each other.
Can you, just secondly from me, can you put some sort of flesh on the bones, if it's not about the numbers, what exactly you sort of, on a practical level, are you hoping to gain? I mean, is it improvement in, I don't know, medical facilities? I mean, what exactly is it that, away, aside from the commerciality of it, that you would really like to see improved?
I think we're looking to, I mean, it's the principle of what we want to improve in women's football is that there's constantly another level, another step that you can take, whether that is commercially, whether that's on the pitch or off the pitch, whether it's performance-based as well. It's about being rewarded for the things you've done. You know, we are the European champions. We have changed the game massively in England. So we want everything to kind of fall in line with, if we're going to do well on the pitch, you would kind of expect things to follow. And not only for us, but like I said, if we can set that standard for ourselves, it helps to set the standard for other nations who maybe don't have as good a relationships with their federation, which we know is plenty of countries in the world. So I think if we can do it as an English nation, the same as if the US can do it, you know, the changes they've made, it can empower the whole game to make differences and to make changes. So I think there's a really a bigger picture to it than just, I guess, what maybe some people might just see a couple of lines of it. There's a huge picture behind it.
Sorry, David, I know you want to move on, but there's obviously other voices such as the US, the Aussies, yourselves. Have you actually had any? If it is a bigger picture, have you thought about actually maybe roping in them and petitioning FIFA as a collective of senior nations? You've got your senior leadership group, and actually petitioning them yourselves for that improvement.
Well, yeah, that actually was how the prize money got changed, was a petition that was written by players. My name was actually on that. We had 2 representatives from most teams around the world. It was a FIFA Pro initiative that we sent a letter to FIFA to change the prize money. And you saw, obviously, the prize money was changed. There was a minimum set standard as well, which was there to help, I guess, nations who potentially don't have great funding, to make sure that the players get rewarded for their performances and for being at the biggest Women's World Cup ever. So there are plenty of player initiatives. Maybe, I don't know if people know about them as much, but we are, as players, collectively working together. I mean, a couple of months ago, I was sat down speaking with Alex Morgan and Alexia Putellas, for example, but it's not things that necessarily always go out in the media. But as players, there are collective links within teams where we share information because we all want to push the game on. And if there ever comes a time where we need to collectively join again to, I don't know, write another letter to FIFA, UEFA, whoever it is, the girls, I think we know all around the world that we're all on the same path to making the game putting the game in a better place.
Excuse my ignorance, thank you.
Thanks, Neil. We'll just go to the row behind. Thank you.
Do you feel like if England is successful at the World Cup this year, it's going to impact your negotiating power for these bonuses and, you know, for other countries like you've spoken on, it's going to impact them and possibly making their relationships with their federations better?
I mean, I think you tend to see in football that success kind of gives you the platform to make change. We've seen that last year in the Euros, that our success give us the stage to make changes with the government, which is insane. I think the same with the US. Their success in World Cups give them a stage to make changes in the game. And I think that's what success brings in a performance sport, in a performance industry. The more success you have, the more chance you have to make changes. So I think any team who are going to be successful in this World Cup will know that their success on the pitch can help drive change off the pitch, and not just this England team, but every single team, whatever success looks like to them. Obviously, as an England team, we want to get to the final. We are here to play football and to win football matches after all. But every team, whatever success looks like to them, I think they know that it's going to give them a stage and an opportunity to make changes beyond just this World Cup, which is exciting to be part of as individually as a player, but to be part of women's football and to know that there's those capabilities is amazing.
Thank you. Got time for 2 final questions. We'll go to Luke, who's waited patiently.
Hi,
at the
Lucy.
back.
My brain's a bit foggy, so I hope this sentence makes sense. Is this about getting equal pay with the men's team? And do you feel basically getting paid what you feel you are worth as footballers?
I think the equal pay with the men's is kind of a different topic because I think the figures are kind of completely different, both in terms of the FIFA prize money and in terms of England as a federation. We do have contact with our England men's team, which again is really nice that we have a good camaraderie between the teams, good relationship, and equally they want to drive the change in the game just as much as us, which is nice. But yeah, I think, like I said before, I think it's us trying to drive change in women's football, whatever that looks like. I think we're trying to set a trail for what women's football should look like in our country. It doesn't necessarily need to mirror the men's image, although there are things in the men's game that are done very well that we can strive for. There are equally things that might not be done the best, which potentially we can alter and make differently in our game. I think that's the kind of great thing about women's football is that it is developing constantly, and we actually have the opportunity to mould that and to shape that into the way that we want it to be. And the players are having a kind of a huge say in that, which I think is really important. Ultimately, they're the ones that are playing the games. We're the ones that know probably more than anybody else in this room, to be honest. So it's nice that we're able to kind of have that opinion and be part of the discussion to make our game in a better place. And like I said, it's not necessarily comparing everything against the men like some people might like to think. It's about how can we make our game the best that we can do it. And yeah, we can share things and maybe change things that they've done. Maybe we can do some things the same, but it's about what's going to work best for us.
It's funny, you're confident it won't be a distraction. There's going to be you're not going to be going into any game thinking about this, basically.
Yeah, I'm 100% confident that we will not be distracted by this. I think every single one of our players is fully focused on playing in the games and playing great football. I think if you were to come and watch training, you would see that the level of intensity that we have on the pitch is probably second to none right now. The talent that we have coming into this tournament is unbelievable. Like I said before, these conversations happen regularly. They're probably just not in the media. I mean, they happened before the Euros, and I don't think it distracted us then because we went on and won it. So, yeah, it's something that we now have to deal with as footballers, is the kind of the label of we're performing athletes, we're role models, we're empowering women around the world, we're changing society. There's many things that fall under the name of just a female footballer, and I think we're fully capable of managing that ourselves. And yeah, we have a great group of girls who are able to share the load and make sure that we're all focused on what is our aim, and that is to get to the World Cup final.
Thanks, Luke.
Finally, as a group, did you see the video that the Matildas put out recently about putting pressure on FIFA to increase the prize money for women? And if so, what did you and the squad think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we briefly seen it yesterday. It was come out, but obviously we kind of had our own things going on and our own discussions that were happening. So I can't say that we were fully focused on that. I think it's probably today we'll get to see it properly. And I think obviously the Australian team see their moment right now that they got a huge stage. I think they've probably got the biggest stage ever of a women's team. They're the hosts of the tournament. They've got superstars in their team that are globally known and are, I think Sam Kerr's probably one of the biggest names in Australia, not just in women's football, but in general. So I think it's fantastic that they've seen an opportunity for them to use their voice, to speak out, again, to make change like we're talking about now. But yeah, I can't say that I've completely watched the whole video because we kind of had our own stuff going on as well.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.